holster my stuff.
Miss Holcomb, I need to explain this aggressively. The grease monkey, Argo?
I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson, sir. You asked why it's taking so long to fix. The answer's technical.
Seems we've got a guest. Really now, Parvati, I do wish you'd spoken up. I do apologize. I was given no forewarning of your arrival, or I might have welcomed you at the gates myself. I'm Reed Thompson, Outpost Administrator. I cannot help but notice you are not in uniform.
I don't work for Space Juice.
Of course not. I don't have that kind of luck. Seems I allowed my excitement to run away with my wits. Been a few seasons since we've had a visitor pass through.
Only regulator we got is hooked up to the town transformer. Mr. Thompson ain't liable to be keen on dismantling it.
I beg your pardon. I am most emphatically not keen on any such thing. I can't let you have our power regulator. But I happen to know of another one. And I happen to know exactly how you may retrieve it without frying yourself in the process.
How?
There's a power regulator in the old botanical lab. It's mostly abandoned, so all that power is being squandered. Go down to the geothermal plant. Reroute power from the botanical district over to us. Once their power's shut down, you can have their regulator and be along on your way.
That's not... Tell me about this
The geothermal plant was built by our owners, Spacer's Choice. Lit up the whole Vale once upon a time. Most of the Vale is now abandoned. All that power is going to waste. I was not entirely sure how to tell you this. The botanical labs are not legally inhabited, but there are people who live there. The people living in the botanical labs, they're deserters, former workers. I need them back at their posts. I need them to come home.
Alright, tell me what
My
to
hope
do.
is that by cutting off their power, you will convince those deserters to come back to town. Before you go to the plant, I want you to stop by the botanical lab. Speak to their leader, Adelaide. Tell her the power's about to go, and that it's time her band of deserters came back to town. Of course, I
Can't make any
understand
promises,
completely.
buddy.
Here, let me give you the passcode to the geothermal plant. A sign of good faith for so politely listening to me as I ramble on.
Are you setting off for the Vale? Because I know my way around. I mean, in case you want a guide. I mean, if that's all right with you, Mr. Thompson. Sir.
I hesitate to part ways with Miss Holcomb, but I cannot deny that she is talented and may prove useful to you.
Sure,
Great.
come with me.
I got my wrenches and diagnosticators and hairpins and engine tape, so I'm all set.
Well, I am glad to hear that. Best of luck to you, and thank you again for your help. It is a lot to ask of a stranger, I know.
Alright.
Sorry. You just want to get out of here. And you likely don't want to tag along like me. It's just, Mr. Thompson has his own view on matters, on account of it's his job and what all, but that's not the only side of the tale.
I wanted to... Let's move. Oh, yours read it and it's gonna distract me as an
Oh,
asshole.
he ain't a liar. He believes every word he says. It's just, he doesn't always get where other folk are talking from. To Mr. Thompson, a person's a gear. It does its job quiet-like. If it squeaks or stutters, it gets replaced. The deserters are decent folk. I knew some of them before they left.
Town does got issues. I wouldn't blame them if they left.
Life's hard here. Especially for them that don't fit in so well. We're one big Spacer's Choice family, but every family's got the one the rest whisper about. Mr. Thompson's aiming to take away their power. They'll have no lights to see, nor heat to cook. They'll be at the mercy of marauders, or worse. I think you should talk to the town's vicar about it. Max, his name is. The mission's on the east side of town. You can't miss it, on account of it being the only clean thing. Thanks, mister. I just think when you gotta make a decision that'll hurt somebody, it's best to think on the right and wrong of it. That's what my dad used to say anyways.
I mean, you're not wrong. Let's go. I think it's this. Yeah, Vicar. Okay, let's go talk to Vicar, guys.
Sorry, I'll just be a minute.
Yo, Vicar, how do I get inside your house, bud? How? Maybe right here?
I've always felt weird in here. It's too clean.
Well, you wanted to come in here. Yo, Vicar.
Yes, what is it? You're an outsider. Fantastic. Vicar Maximilian de Soto, at your service. Or Vicar Max, if you're the sort who prefers brevity. And Ms. Holcomb as well. How rare to see you out. And with a complete stranger. Curious.
Just tagging along, Vicar DeSoto. Don't mind me.
I so rarely get new people to talk to. Name your poison, anything at all. Spiritual counseling, this season's tossball predictions, the quickest way out of town.
Par wanted me to talk to you about what Reed asked us to do.
What? I thought you would talk to him.
You wanted to speak to me, Ms. Holcomb? Every time I've tried to engage you in conversation, you look at the floor, answer in single words, and slink away. I can't imagine what would be so grave as to drive her to my mission. What has Mr. Thompson asked you to do?
Cut off to the power, to the deserters.
Depriving them of safety from the marauders and wildlife. I can see why that troubles you. Miss Holcomb has a soft heart. Always has,
Sorry
if you
about my
believe the
chair,
talk.
guys. It sucks. So what is your advice?
Assuming your goal is to save as many as possible, then you should bring everyone together. Send the power to Edgewater and convince the deserters to return to the fold. If you don't mind a bit of unsolicited advice, be cautious on your way to the geothermal plant. It is not as safe as you might assume.
And why is that?
One of the reasons I transferred here was to fulfill my duty in hunting down banned heretical texts. I happen to know such a book is, as we speak, tainting a collector's library in Emerald Vale. However, the collector's residence lies outside the town's walls. My retrieval efforts have been thwarted by marauders who have overrun the property. Should you fare better than me, I'd pay a handsome sum for the book.
Very fascinating, I'm sure. I gotta be going. If I see the book, I will bring it to you. If not, I am a lying son of a gun.
If you're hungry, there's meat turning on the spit outside. If you're bearing illness, find a place to lay your head down and I'll fetch you a poultice. Whatever your troubles with Edgewater, leave them at the gates and be welcomed here. Any questions, dear? I have been called that, among other things. Green Thumb, grandmother, the strange old lady who keeps flowers. But yes, Adelaide will do just fine.
All right, Miss Adelaide.
Excuse me, Miss McDevitt? Sorry, it's just... You got such pretty trees in here.
Why, thank you. You're Robert's girl, aren't you? I remember when you were but a sprout. Thomas speaks of you often. Are you staying long? You should try some of my tobaccorn tea. I brew it in an old spittoon, but it's been cleaned.
Reed sent me to make peace with you. Is this your greenhouse? Looks like you made a home for yourself.
A home for anyone who's ever turned their backs on Edgewater. A home for those of us with nowhere left to go and nothing to lose. So, like the spores of the puffball, cast on the wind and alighting on fresh soil, we put down new roots. It is an unpleasant story, dear. But the short of it is that sometimes one wakes up and realizes the place that was once her home for much of her life has changed. The home in which we spent our lives has left us behind, and so we must move on. And that is as much as I will say on the subject.
Is this your greenhouse?
No, dear. The garden belongs to us all. Life is the gift of the universe, and the universe yields its bounty equally, absent of prejudice. The soil around the Vale went sour years ago, but I found a way to sweeten it back up. The secret recipe is a little bit of elbow grease, a dash of love, and a heaping pile of special fertilizer.
Okay, Reed sent me here.
Reed Thompson? You here on behalf of that cold-eyed reptile? Let's hear it. What's Reed's idea of peace, then?
You're leaving off about come back to the cannery. Reed asked me coming back to the town. Something about coming back to town or losing power. I wasn't really listening.
Make amends. Spare me. Only thing Reed knows how to make is a mess.
You're not wrong.
Like everything else that comes out of Edgewater, that peace offering is canned. I and my own are living just fine out here by ourselves. He would do such a thing. The question is, why would you agree to his plans? Cannery's got a regulator. You want ship parts, you ought to rip 'em out of the cannery's guts and leave us be. If you're going down to the plant, you should divert power away from Edgewater and toward our end of the grid. Think about it. You'd be liberating an entire town from a lifetime of service to that odious cannery. Seems the sort of thing a hero would do. I trust you will listen to your conscience.
Hey, lady. No. Oh. Oh, hi.
Unexpected.
I'm not an unexpected visitor. Oh, God. Why is he so strong?
Unexpected noise identified.
have no idea what the passcode is just yet, and I'm not going to cheat and figure out what it is. Redivert power. Comes now the power. Plant status. So, what do I do now? Oh.
3 switches. That'll be easy enough.
Oh, already had it. I just needed to put.
Alt. Beginning security.
I like my energy cannon. What you have, buddy? Hey, you robot dude, what you have? Ooh. Anything under here?
Okay, gone quiet.
Oh, hi. You give me places to crouch behind and loot. I'm gonna loot them, alright.
Process search.
Look out! That's the last of them!
No, I highly doubt that's the last. Oh, hi.
No, 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 just leave me alone.
There's someone here? What is... I don't have Chester's password. What is this? Ooh. Alright, let's go up. Wait, wasn't I just in here? Yes. I can... Okay.
Just 2 more. What'll happen to Miss McDevitt's folk if we send power to the Vale?
Wait, is this game... Journal, character, journal, quests. Divert power from the... I guess guess it'll ask me where do I want to send it.
Go away, Phantom!
I guess we'll see that dude down there in a minute.
You're not real. You're not real.
He must be down there. I mean, I could.
Great work. Mind steam. You're liable to get scalded.
Ooh, work. Repair. I can't repair, can I? Can I at least repair my cannon? No. Tinker, modify. How would I modify? Install mod? Nah. Nah. Breakdown. I mean, I have 2 assault rifles. Light assault rifle. Yeah, I'll keep it. Thank you. Oh, oh, what was that? What was that? What was that? Oh, whoa, look at me. Hi. Alright.
If we send the power to Miss McDevitt, what happens to her?
System performing an
Incoming!
unit. Sweeping fuel.
There we go. Stop. Stop. I mean, if y'all want to keep giving me ammo for my gun, go right ahead. I do not mind at all. Hey, dude. I think you're missing something. Hey, what's back here? Oh, hi. I think I gotta go upstairs now. Yeah, let's go. Okay.
Alls I know is the decision's final.
Like I said, I can just screw them both and just take the power for myself. But that's not the right idea, is it?
Once we do this, there's no going back.
Oh.
Hey, mister? Look, I know you want your power regulator and all, but I just gotta ask you. Do you understand what you're about to do? I don't think you should cut off Edgewater's power. I think it would be cruel. I'm sorry. That just sort of came out all at once. Edgewater's hurting. We've been losing workers year after year, and corporate hardly ever sends replacements. There's barely enough Saltuna to fill our bellies anymore. But the town's got some good people in it. Decent, hard-working folk just living their lives the only way they know how. They don't deserve to be punished. Miss McDevitt's built something beautiful. Somehow, she's talked the ground into giving life again. It's plain to see she's made the Vale a better place. Fed the hungry, tended the sick. Gave a home to those that had none. But Miss McDevitt delights in Edgewater's suffering. She wants to hurt the town. Do you really want to be party to that kind of hatred?
Reed tells me that Edward's just gonna die without workers and power.
Well, that sure sounds like Mr. Thompson. If he was standing here, I imagine he'd remind us of how we're all one big, happy Spacer's Choice family. In Mr. Thompson's eyes, those deserters are still part of the Spacer's Choice family. The family must work together in order to survive. I hate to say it, but I think Mr. Thompson's got a point. Unless those deserters come back, Edgewater's as good as dead. Cutting off their power might be the only way. Sorry, I didn't mean to babble on like that. I felt like I had to say something. Really? I mean, wow. Thanks. No one's ever told me those words in that order.
Redirect power. Continue. Redirect. Okay. Ike, defense improves your ability to avoid damage. Okay. There we go. Perks. Alright, let's go. Now I gotta. Ow. Alright, let's leave this jump. Alright, let's see. Let's go back to McDevitt.
That's the thing about growing old. Your eyes start to fail. Elsewise, I would have seen you for the snake that you are, chopped you into pieces and roasted you on a spit. This is all you're doing. Cutting off my power, killing off my garden. Without refrigeration, my food will spoil, and my flock will starve.
Your flock.
I want to ask you this in private, away from the eyes of my flock, so they do not see me lose my temper. Tell me, why did you do it? You want my flock wasting their lives in that cannery? Fine. Go and talk to them. Go talk to Grace and Thomas. Look them in the eye and tell them their life here is over, and the only thing left to do is go back to Edgewater. This is now your responsibility. And you tell Reed Thompson that I will never return to Edgewater. I would rather die among my flowers than live under his management.
You're being unruly. You're being unrelenting. You are being unreasonable. Come back to Edgewater.
As long as Reed is still in Edgewater, I will not return. Those are my terms.
My son worked in that cannery. When the plague started coming, he was one of the first to fall sick. We had a store of medicine locked away, but Reed refused to treat him. Said my boy didn't deserve treatment. Said the medicine would have been wasted on him. So I buried my boy in the cemetery, gathered my belongings, and left. That's as much of the story as you need to hear.
You offering to cross Reed off, huh? This some sort of twisted reparation for what you've done? Or you just looking for a chance to sow some chaos? Kill Reed if you must, or talk him into leaving if you can. He and I are not sharing the same four walls together.
I think you did the rightest thing you could, sending the power back to Edgewater. A lot of people would have suffered otherwise. People I care for. Even if they ain't care much for me. You mean about the mission being too clean? I know, but Vicker says the universe is a machine, that it runs by law. Real machines have gunked up oil, scratches, and worn bits. You can tell they've seen handling, been used by folk. The machine Vicker sees is one ain't never been run. It's not for people to live in. It's something on a museum shelf, under glass. It just comes off cold to me, is all.